Hey YouTube, Ed here with Jack of All Trades, and welcome to another video. So today we're going to talk about the Rossi R92. This particular version is chambered in 45 Colt. So let's get right into talking about this rifle. And welcome back. So as per the usual, before we get into today's discussion, I got to ask you to go down, hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you ring that notification bell so you get notified of upcoming videos, and hit me with those comments. If you're liking these kind of videos, please let me know and I will try to do more of them. I don't ever ask you for money. I don't have a Patreon account or anything like that. I just ask that you like and subscribe to these videos. All right, so what have I got here? I've got a brand new Rossi R92. This one's chambered in 45 Colt. I have wanted to pick up one of these kind of lever rifles for quite some time as a companion to my 45 Colt single action, which I did a video review on quite some time ago. I'll put the link in the description box down below. And I finally went ahead and I picked up a Rossi. Now, so what is this? This is a Rossi 92. This is a rifle that is patterned or modeled after the famous Winchester 92, which was something that John Browning came up with. And pretty much anything that John Browning came up with, I'm a pretty firm believer in. It's got to be pretty good. He really didn't make a whole lot of duds that I know of. And the Winchester 92 is actually, it's been a pretty solid platform for the Winchester company. And when the patent ran out and other companies started making the replicas like Rossi and other companies, it's just a really solid pattern to go after. It's really a nice, sturdy, solid action. It's got the dual locking bars in it, like all Winchester 92s do or their replicas. And it's just a really good, solid, sturdy platform for putting some pretty high power rounds through it. And certainly the 45 Colt is not a high power round, so this is more than enough action to contain it. So the concept of having a rifle that shoots pistol caliber cartridges is not a new concept. The Cowboys have been doing this for years, and they do this because then they only have to carry one kind of ammunition for both their handgun and their rifle. And subsequently, when you're shooting those handgun cartridges out of a rifle length barrel, be it 16 or 20 inches, you actually gain a little bit of velocity, and it's enough to be significant. Now, in this test, I'm shooting my single action 45 Colt through the chronograph, and I get about 710 feet per second. But if I take that same round and I shoot it out of my rifle, I get about 948 feet per second. So there's a pretty significant increase in velocity when you're shooting it out of a rifle. So before we get to talking about my opinion of the rifle, let's talk about some specifications. We have a 20-inch barrel. I've wanted a 20-inch barrel. I was not looking for a 16-inch. They do make this rifle in a 16-inch version. I prefer the longer barrels because I really actually want to hunt with this rifle. I want to take a deer with this rifle at some point. And I have a tendency to overswing if I have too short of a barrel, so I like a slightly longer barrel, so I went with the 20-inch. That also gives me just a little bit more velocity at the end. The barrel and the receiver are an alloy steel. They're polished black oxide finish. They really did a nice job on the polishing of these rifles. The rate of twist on this is a 1 in 26. It's a 6-groove barrel. Like I said, it is a 20-inch barrel, and the overall length of the whole gun is 37.2 inches. The gun itself weighs 7.8 pounds, so it's not too terribly heavy, but it's got some pretty decent weight to it. Like I said, the receiver is an alloy steel along with the barrel, and they do polish it up. It's not blued. It's not a high fine finish, but then again, that's not what I was expecting when I bought this rifle. And for a rifle that MSRPs for around $835, you really don't expect that. But you can find these rifles at a really good deal. And the 45 Colt isn't a super popular round, so you can find these rifles pretty reasonably priced. It does have a fully adjustable buckhorn sight on the back, and it's got a drift adjustable only front sight with a brass bead on it. I really like the sights on it. They seem to pick up really well. Length of pull on this gun is 14 inches, which is a little longer than normal. Most gun manufacturers now are producing new rifles with a 13 and 3/4 inch length of pull. This one's got an extra 1/4 inch, so it's very, very comfortable for me to shoot. Like I said, I bought this rifle as a companion rifle to my 45 Colt, but I do want to attempt to take a deer with it at some point in time. But most people who buy these are target shooters and hunters and collectors of that effect, and they're just a lot of fun to shoot. So that's basically the specifications of the gun. Oh, the wood. The wood on this gun, they call it a Brazilian hardwood. They really don't tell you what species of wood it is. I can tell you what it is not. It doesn't look like American walnut, but I'm really not having a problem with that. The wood on this gun is actually really, really nice. Very impressed with the quality of the stock that it came with. Just because it's not American walnut doesn't mean that's a deal breaker for me. The other thing that the Rossi 92 has that a lot of rifles haven't had previously is a safety on top. This is kind of an interesting safety. You have to just flip the safety over with your thumb, and it actually puts a firing pin block in the way so that you can't if the hammer falls, the firing pin can't strike the round in the chamber. I'm not really having a problem with that. I kind of like that, to be honest with you, because if I'm unloading the rifle, even though my finger is off of the trigger, this is a mechanical device, and I'm not really having an issue with a safety in there as a bit of a backup, just to make sure that round doesn't go off when I'm going ahead and cycling the lever to unload this rifle. This rifle does not have a removable tube loader like, say, the Henry does. You have to load it by running the lever a bunch of times to get all the rounds out of the magazine. Whereas with a gun like the Henry, you can just remove the tube and you can dump out all the rounds, which is actually kind of nice. I really wish this had a removable tube loader on it, but it doesn't. So what did I notice when I right away pulled the gun out of the box? The fit and finish of the gun was overall very, very good. I didn't see any blemishes or marks or machine marks or anything like that on the exterior of the firearm. The one thing I did notice is that the buttstock, when I took my first couple of shots, I noticed the buttstock was loose in the back end of the receiver. That was not anything difficult. All I had to do was take a flat tip screwdriver and tighten up this rear tang screw, and everything snugged up just fine. So it was just that screw was a little bit loose. But overall, the fit and finish of the gun was really pretty decent. When I opened up the action on this rifle, however, I did notice you can see some machining marks and things of that effect on the bolt. And I have watched other videos where guys have actually taken these guns apart, and there's usually pretty fair bit of rough machining that goes on inside of these guns. And there's a couple of good videos out there on YouTube. I'll put their links in the description box down below about how to slick up these guns and take these machining marks out of these parts so you can smooth these rifles out. But I actually, shooting this gun, I really didn't have a complaint with how smooth the action was. It seemed to be fairly smooth when I shot it. So how was the functionality and the overall shooting of the gun? Well, I shot the gun. I shot about 150 rounds out of this rifle. Accuracy on the gun was actually very, very good. I was very impressed with the accuracy. I had to do just a little bit of fine sight adjustment, but for the most part, the accuracy was really good. Now, I only shot this gun out to 35 yards, but I had no problem hitting the steel plates. I didn't have to work at it whatsoever, and it hit everything I was aiming at. Functionality of the gun is a slightly different story. I had a lot of problems with this particular rifle hanging up the round on the way feeding the round into the chamber. It would actually get stuck. When I would go to close the lever, the round wouldn't come up all the way into the receiver as it was going into the chamber, and it would actually catch on the guide grooves inside of the action mechanism. The rim of the shell casing would catch on those guide grooves, and it was actually getting stuck. And sometimes I couldn't get it closed. I actually physically had to get my finger in there, or I had to get a screwdriver in there or something to kind of pry that shell out of there because it was jammed in there really good. It didn't happen every time, but it happened often enough where it was really annoying. I was not impressed with that whatsoever. Now, what I did do is I got a hold of Rossi on Monday morning when I right away got home, called him up, told him the problem I was having. They gave me no crap about it whatsoever. She sent me a FedEx return label to send the gun back so that their gunsmiths could take a look at it, which I'm going to do after this video is done. I'm going to go ahead and box it up. And then I'm going to do another video on how I think they did fixing the gun, because I bet you 50% of the time the shells were hanging up. I would have a string of 4 or 5 shots where I didn't have any problem, and then one would stick, and then the next one would stick, and then the next one would stick. And then I would have a run of 2, 3, 4 shots where they wouldn't stick. But it was, like I said, it happened often enough where it was exceedingly annoying, and I was really getting irritated by it. But so far, Rossi's customer service has been excellent. They were extremely polite. They walked me through the process to get the return shipping label. She walked me through the process to make the repair request. I'm going to go ahead and box this thing up. I'm going to get it sent out to them tomorrow. We're going to see how long it takes them to get the gun back to me and whether or not they fix the problem, and I will do a follow-up video on this. But other than the fact that the gun was having problems feeding, which is a pretty major problem, the gun worked really, really well. The accuracy was good. Everything like that was good. I didn't even really have a problem loading the gun. And a lot of YouTube reviewers I saw really say they don't like this loading gate. It's too small. It cuts their fingers, blah, 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 blah. And those are the people that when I watched them load a rifle, I thought, geez, have you guys never ever loaded a loading gate style rifle before? Because they take and they shove the shell all the way in past the loading gate door. Whereas I was always taught you leave the back end of the shell sticking out just a little bit so that you can butt the next shell up to it, so you're not constantly sticking your fingers into that loading gate. And then you just finally push the very last shell all the way in using your finger. I really didn't have a problem loading the rifle as a result of that. But I'm kind of used to loading a loading gate style rifle, and I know how to do it. And that's just something that a lot of people don't understand. And I really didn't have a problem with it. And I kind of expect it, because my first deer rifle was a Winchester Model 94. Now, grant you, they had a nice wide loading gate on that thing because I was shooting 30-30 shells out of it. But even still, I know how to load a lever rifle with a loading gate because of that. But overall, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that it had some feeding problems, I really liked the gun. I like the weight of it. I like the shootability of it. The recoil is almost non-existent. The trigger's actually pretty good on it. It's a touch on the heavy side, but really for a hunting or just a plinking rifle, that's really not a problem. I'm not going to go shooting cowboy action with this. However, what I did do was I ordered a spring kit for it, because I've been told that if you put a spring kit in these guns, the action gets exceptionally smoother. I'm also probably going to go through the process of slicking up the action on this rifle using India stones to take some of those machining marks out of it, just to kind of smooth the action out a little bit. And I will do that in a future video. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and make sure that you hit that notification bell, so that when I do the video on how to slick up this rifle and to clean this rifle up to make that action smoother, you'll get notified of it. So overall, what do I think of the Rossi rifle? Well, I'm not going to give it a rating just yet. As it stands right now, I'm not impressed because of the feeding issues I have. Now, once I get it back from Rossi, if they fix the problem and the gun doesn't have any more issues, I'll revisit that review at a later date. But right now, I'm not going to give it a recommendation because it does have sticking problems. Now, maybe I just got the one oddball in the bunch. Maybe I didn't. I really want this rifle to work. I really want this rifle to work because I really like the rifle overall. I like the weight, the carry, the length, the shootability, everything like that. I just really want this thing to work. So for right now, we're just going to leave the review at that. And when I get the rifle back, I'll let you know what I think about it. Now, if you're liking these kind of reviews and you're liking these kind of videos, please make sure you go down and hit that like and subscribe button so that I know that you want to see more videos like this, and let me know in those comments and I will try to do more of them. And as always, I would like to thank my longtime subscribers and to the people that watch these videos. I really do appreciate it. And that's the only way I ever ask you for support, is to hit that like and subscribe button. This is Ed with Jack of All Trades. As always, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video.